So I want to actually stress more on the waste, elimination of waste, because this is pretty much kind of central and fundamental to lean, whether it is software development or even if it's to do with, for example, manufacturing. Very, very, very critical. So what do you say when you talk about waste? What does that mean? So anything that doesn't add value, again, value from whose perspective, or value from what perspective? It is from the point of view of your customers or users. It's not from your perspective as a development team. So in the context of that, if, as we discussed yesterday and even the other day, in terms of in terms of delivering value, it is basically, when you talk about agile methodologies, it's all about delivering value to the business, to the customers. It's not technology. It's not a better technology, or it's not a fantastic technique. It's about whether you're doing something of help for your customers, for the users. That's what is important when you talk about value. So if it is something to do with, for example, some functionality which is not useful at all, or some piece of code which is of not relevant at all, which is not adding any value there, then that is basically waste. I mean, if you do not do that there, then it actually grows into, as we discussed, if you do not take enough steps to identify a defect or a bug or an issue initially during the requirement stage, then it would slowly start from being a cub, a small little cub or a baby tiger. It would start growing through the architecture, the design, the development, and finally when it's caught in the testing, it turns into a huge tiger, a monster. And that would be taking a lot of time and effort to kind of fix that or even rework. So it's very, very important that you catch this waste, this piece of unnecessary functionality, features, or code early on, so that you don't have to spend all your effort and time into rectifying that later. Very, very, very important. And then even what we just discussed, unclear or ambiguous, or requirements which are not stated properly, which are not communicated properly, again, very, very significant cost to the product and to the whole team, because you understood something in a different way, and then you communicated, you actually put that down into requirement document. You say that, then by the time you finish that, it could be, let's say, 1 month of time, and then you show it to the customer. The customer says, this is not what I wanted. Why did you develop this? I said report. I didn't say report template. I said a report. I don't have to create a template. I know how to do it. Already have the template. Why did you say report template? We already got report templates. I need a proper report as an instance of a template, not a template. So there it goes. Everything, all the effort that you had put in developing that whole thing, testing it, and then designing, all that whole effort is waste. So it's very important that you understand what is required, what is needed, really needed, not the want, but the need of the customers, and then capture it, specify it, communicate it, and then make sure that the development team develops that requirement into the feature or a benefit that is passed to the customers. And that's one of the reasons why, in fact, I think I mentioned this before as well, that the Standish Group report, which did a research on why IT projects fail, they actually did a lot of research on this. They came up with a report, the Standish Group report. You can actually see on internet. It says that about 78% of IT projects fail because of one thing, and that is requirements. Requirements not stated properly, requirements not specified properly, requirements changed, requirement scope creep, all of these, whatever it could be, it has to do with requirements. And therefore, you should be very, very careful with how you're developing, managing, and delivering on requirements. Other ways could be the slow internal processes or communication within the team. And that's why we have actually got this, the Scrum or Kanban, where you're actually having an update pretty much on a daily basis, right? The daily Scrum, you're actually touch basing with each other on a daily basis and trying to understand what each of us are doing. So that is contributing to your understanding where, if you, for example, if somebody's already got a database table, for example, and you're trying to say, you're saying that, okay, I need to create this table. My plan for today is to spend the time to create the database tables and then add the fields. And then somebody says, hey, hold on. Are you talking about this customer database? I think we've got the database already. I have created that. It's there in the data lake somewhere. I can give it to you. So it actually kind of significantly reduces the rework and also potentially your own effort in trying to create that by a huge, huge quantum. So very important. Unnecessary, outdated policies, procedures, and rules. Very, 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 annoying, very frustrating. Where we try and work on something and suddenly says, you know what? I think this changed now. It's not there anymore. So to keep up with the regulations, the rules, the policies, the procedures, very, very important. If the government says something, there's a tax regime, if there's a change in the way that we are working on, all of these, the business rules, all of these need to be kept updated so that we don't commit the problem, the mistake of doing something and then going all the way down the line and then realizing later that, oh, by the way, this is not correct.